and adulation. He deserves. It's like Yumum unconquered territory. On August 9, 1986, Freddie Mercury stepped onto this stage for one last time. His doctor had warned him not to perform. His voice was failing. And in the crowd of fans, life would end during Who Wants to Live Forever. But what happened next shocked everyone, from John Deacon's violent outburst to Mercury's mysterious disappearance after the show today. Word reveal what really happened during Queen's final concert. Freddie Mercury was born on September 5, 1946 in Zanzibar, a small island that was early life part of a British protectorate. His parents were Parsi and followed the Zoroastrian religion, which is one of the oldest religions in the world. Freddie's birth was special in many ways. He was born with 4 extra teeth, and later in life, he believed this gave him a unique vocal range that helped him sing in 4 octaves. He grew up surrounded by African Arab and Indian cultures, which influenced his style and music. Later, when Freddie was 17, his life changed completely. The Zanzibar Revolution in 1964 became dangerous for families like his, and they had to escape. Thousands of people were killed. So his family fled to England, but before that, Freddie spent his early years in India. At just 8 years old, his parents sent him to a British-style boarding school called St. Peter's in Panani. This school near Mumbai became an important place. For Freddie, it was there that he first started calling himself Freddie. And it's also where his love for music began. A teacher saw his talent and told his parents to pay extra for music lessons. This turned out to be a life-changing decision. At school, Freddie formed his first band, the Hectics. With 4 friends, they played rock and roll songs by famous artists like Cliff Richard and Little Richard. Freddie was only 12. But he already showed he had a natural gift for music. He also loved Bollywood singers like El Manjkaro's soaring voice inspired his future performances. Even at that young age, Freddie began blending Western and Indian influences, something that later made becoming Queen's music stand out. When Freddie's family moved to England, they settled in a small house in Fulham near London. Life wasn't easy at first, but Freddie was determined to follow his dreams. He joined Eworth Polytechnic in 1964 to study art, and later went to Ealing Art College. At Ealing, Freddie became skilled in graphic design, and then he would later use those skills to create Queen's famous logo. To support himself, Freddie worked odd jobs, including washing dishes at Heathrow Airport. While at Ealing, Freddie met Tim Stahl, who was in a band called Smile with guitarist Brian May and drummer Roger Taylor. Freddie became friends with them and often gave ideas about the performances. In 1970, when Tim left Smile, Freddie joined the band. Astir New Singri suggested they call the band Queen because it sounded grand and powerful. Their first concert as Queen was in June 1970 at a charity event. The band still needed a bassist, and after trying out a few people, they found John Deacon in 1971. Around this time, Freddie also decided to change his last name to Mercury. He got the idea from a line in Awesome. He wrote Mother Mercury, "Look what killer Queen they've done to me." Queen wasn't an instant hit. Their first album came out in 1973, but didn't even make it on the charts in the UK and barely hit number 83 in the US. Their second album, Queen Thea, released in 1974, didn't do much better. It only reached number 49 in the UK. The band was getting frustrated, but their third album, Sheer Heart Attack, finally changed everything. It had Killer, Queen, a song that became their big break. It hit number 2 in the UK and made it to number 12 in the US. Freddie Mercury wrote Killer. Queen one night, while sitting at his piano, he came up with the words first, which was unusual for him, since he usually started with the music. The song told the story of a classy, high society prostitute. What made it stand out was just a story, but the sound. Brian May played an impressive guitar solo using a 6p coin as a pick, and they added layers of sound with different production techniques. The song made Queen famous, but it also caused a bit of a fight in the band. Roger Taylor worried that its light, playful sound might make people think Queen wasn't a serious rock band. In fact, Killer, Queen almost didn't make it on the album. It was recorded last, and there was a big debate about whether to include it. Then came Bohemian Rhapsody, the song, released in 1975. A Sparvan night at the opera made Queen superstars. It wasn't easy to make. It took 3 weeks to record, had 180 different overdubs, and cost £40,000 to produce, making it the most expensive song ever. At the time, the song was strange and different, had 3 distinct parts: a slow, emotional beginning, an opera-like a middle, and the loud rock finish. Emmy executives didn't believe it would work. They thought it was way too long and asked the band to cut it down. For radio, a band refused. Instead, their manager secretly gave the song to a popular DJ, Kenny Everett. He played it 14 times in known weekend, and fans loved it. The song topped the UK charts for 9 weeks straight. It became even more popular in 1991 after Freddie Mercury passed away, staying at number 1 for another 5 weeks in the U.S. It wasn't as big initially, reaching number 9 in 1976, but in 1992, after being used in the movie Wayne's World, it climbed to number 2. It went on to sell millions off copies and became one of the best-selling singles in UK history. Queen also changed the music video game. The video for Bohemian Rhapsody was filmed in just 4 hours and cost £500. Despite being simple, it was groundbreaking. The famous shot of Theban's 4 faces in a prism shape was created using a trick called visual feedback. It became iconic and made music videos a key part of promoting songs later. Queen kept making memorable videos, and I Want to Break Free. The band are set in women's clothes inspired by the British soap opera Coronation Street. It was funny and bold, but MTV banned it in the US. Meanwhile, Radio Gaga was one off the most expensive videos of its time, costing $100,000. It featured scenes from the movie Metropolis, and Queen paid $100,000 just to use those clips. Queen's live shows were as impressive as their videos. In 1975, during their Night at the Opera tour, they used a huge custom lighting setup with 168 lights and 12 aircraft landing lights. It was so massive it needed its own generator and took hours to set up. By 1986, at their famous Wembley concerts, their lighting rig had grown to over 1,000 lights, including a massive crown-shaped frame weighing 5 tons. Freddie Mercury's stage presence also evolved over time. When Queen started, Freddie was shy and often stayed behind his piano. During performances, the iconic mic stand he used without the bottom half actually came about by accident. One night, the mic stand broke during a performance, but Freddie found the freedom it gave him and stuck with it over time. His style became more flamboyant. In 1973, he began painting his nails black, inspired by Jimi Hendrix, and started wearing dramatic glam rock outfits designed by Xander Rhodes in Glam Rock Outfits. 1976, he wore his famous Harley Quinn jumpsuit, a tight costume that had to be sewn onto him before each show. By the 1980s, Freddie transformed again. He grew a thick mustache and adopted a more macho look with leather pants and military-style jackets. This change was inspired by the gay club scene in New York. Hestel kept his playful energy in the I Want to Break Free video. He appeared in drag, but with his mustache intact, which confused some people and stirred up controversy. Freddie's stage antics became wilder as time went on. During the Hot Space tour in 1982, he started riding on the shoulders of a crew member dressed as Darth Vader while singing We Will Rock You in Japan. He once stripped down to just a pair of off shorts during a concert shedding his scarf piece by piece. As the show went on, Freddie's charisma and bold style made every performance unforgettable. Freddie Mercury and Queen went through a lot of changes in the 1980s. In 1981, the band tried a new sound with their album Hot Space. Freddie and John Deacon wanted to experiment with disco and funk music, but many fans didn't like it. The song Body Language came out in 1982 and caused even more controversy. Why its lyrics and music video were too bold for Time Man. MTV banned it. This upset fans, but Freddie kept exploring new ideas in music. First solo album in 1985, Freddie released his first solo album, Mr. Bad Guy. He worked on it for 2 years in Munich, paying attention to very little detail. The album was full of dance music and synthesizers, showing Freddie's creative side. He even dedicated it to his cats, writing this album as For Me Cat Jerry, also Tom, Oscar, and Tiffany, and all the cat lovers in the Universe's crew. Everybody else that reached the top 10 in the UK, but didn't do well in Theos. Still, it gave Freddie the confidence to do more. Later in 1987, he worked with opera singer Montserrat Cabal on the album Barcelona. The title track mixed opera and rock, and it showed how powerful Freddie's voice was. The song became the anthem for the 1992 Olympics in Barcelona, but sadly Freddie and Levito performed at the same time. Queen was struggling as a band after Hot Space came out. They went on tour, but by the end of 1982, they decided to take a break. The band wasn't getting along. Brian May later admitted, "We hated each other. For a while, things got worse while recording their 1984 album, The Works." Brian got so frustrated that he left the studio and spent hours in a park thinking about quitting. John Deacon suddenly left for Bali without telling anyone, which shocked everyone. When Live Aid Freddie heard about it, he jokingly sang Bali High from South Pacific. There was also trouble outside the band. In 1984, Queen performed in Sun City, South Africa during a party. Many people were angry because the country had racist laws. The band was banned by the Musicians Union and criticized by the United Nations later at a concert in Rio de Janeiro in 1985, the crowd even booed them. Freddie's personal life added to the chaos. His manager, Paul Preiner, caused a lot of problems within the band. Brian made him even want to name him in interviews. Just calling in the guy who looked after Fred, everything changed on July 13th, 1985. When Queen performed at Live Aid, Freddie wasn't feeling well and had vocal problems. But he decided to perform anyway when they went on stage at 6:41 p.m. They delivered one of the greatest live performances ever. In 21 minutes, they played parts of their biggest hits, including Bohemian Rhapsody, Radio Gaggin', We Are the Champions during Radio Gaga. Freddie led the crowd to magic touring clapping, creating an unforgettable moment. Over 1.9 billion people watched the performance on TV backstage. Elton John told them, "You bastards, you stole the show." The performance revived Queen's scare and brought new energy to the band. After Live Aid, Queen started working on a new album. A Kind of Magic It was supposed to be the sound TRCK for the movie Highlander, which was about immortality. They began recording in 1985, using new digital technology to make their albums sound modern. The title song, A Kind of Magic, came from a line in the movie, but Freddie changed the original version, which upset Roger Taylor. Another Song Wants to Live Forever was written by Brian May after watching a scene from the movie. It had an 80-piece orchestra, giving it a big dramatic feel. In 1986, Queen planned their biggest and most exciting tour ever. They called it the Magic Tour, and it was unlike anything they had done before. They planned to play 26 shows in 9 different countries across Europe. In just 8 weeks, the stage for the tour was breathtaking. It was massive, 160 feet wide, with 2 long walkways extending into the crowd. It was one of the largest ever built, and it took over 8 of cables to power everything. The video screen was 20 feet tall, and it was so big it needed its own generator. The sound system was so powerful that people miles away could hear the music. Some even complained about the noise in nearby villages. On August 9, 1986, Freddie Mercury walked onto the stage at Nebber Park. It was 6:41 p.m. He didn't know it would be his last live performance. With Queen, the crowd was huge. 120,000 people had come to see the show. The energy was incredible. As the first chords of One Vision started, Freddie wore his famous white tank top and tight jeans. He looked confident, but he was not in great health that morning. His doctor told him his throat was inflamed, to warn Freddie not to perform, but Freddie didn't listen.